What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here with the season finale, thank God, of Ready to Love, season 5, episode 12. You guys, the episode was titled One Last Assignment. They could have kept it. We'll talk about it. Now, before we go ahead and get into the review, if you guys are watching this video or any other on the channel, and you guys are not subscribed to the channel yet, I need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop checking me out on this date and having me foot the bill at the end of it. Do me that favor by liking that video, you guys. Subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on, sharing that video, you guys. And with that out of the way, without further ado, you guys, let's discuss Ready to Love, shall we? This episode, we start the episode off and we see Sydney, right? So Sydney and Phil are going out with each other, right? You guys remember in the last episode when Shiloh had expressed to the women the situation that happened between she and Phil. Remember, Sydney said, she asked her, hey, do you mind if I have a conversation with him and hear him out? And you guys remember Shiloh told her go for it, right? So she's sitting down with him and, she's talking to him and she's telling him about what happened in the last deliberation, right? So he's explaining himself to her. And like I said last week, I didn't agree with him picking her up, and I still don't agree with him picking her up. I wish he had done something different, maybe try to guide her if she's in a dark alley, right? And you fear for her safety. You don't have to pick her up, right? If you feel that she's in danger, you can be right behind her. You can be somewhere in her vicinity. So that way, if something were to happen, you're right there to spring into action, right? So I still don't agree with him picking her up at all. And he said that, he said he tried to get her to go move, but I guess she wouldn't. So that's why he picked her up. Still not, I still don't think, he shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have done that in the first place. He shouldn't have done that. But, so they're going to be good with each other, right? So then we see them and they're doing their last mixer, right? So we see everybody show up and Tommy comes in and he tells them, hey, fellas, so I want you guys to take your ladies and introduce them to your families. I'm like, okay. All right, cool, right? So this is the last thing that we're going to do before we make a final decision, right? So the first person that we see is Frank, right? So Frank is going to be introducing, his two picks, Sydney and Mumin, to his cousins, right? So we see them. And I was looking at this scene with Sydney, Frank, and Mumin, right? And even the cousins, I'm like, wait a minute. So when were these scenes filmed? Were these different days? Because if you notice, because at one point I was like, oh, I thought he was going to have, I'm like, are you really going to have them both on the same date with each other? But no, they weren't. They were on separate dates. Because I soon realized, I'm like, wait a minute, Frank has on a different pair of pants and a shirt, right? And then I looked at the cousins, I'm like, oh, they have on different clothing as well, right? So we'll start talking about Mumin, right? So they're talking to Mumin and, they're talking to her and they ask her about kids, right? Does she want to have kids? And Mumin says she doesn't want to have kids. She says, her number she's kind of stuck right now is 3 kids, right? And she wants her kids to be raised in the church. She wants them to be financially stable to be able to take care of kids, which, hey, I'm all here for that, right? You definitely want to be in a financial situation where you can actually take care of your children. So then, we move over to Sydney and, they're talking to Sydney about, since Frank has friends with both men, he's friends with both men and women. They asked her, like how does she feel about him being friends with women? She says she's cool with it. Like she don't have an issue with that. She's, secure in that. And then they asked her about what makes Frank so special, right? And she says the thing that makes Frank so special is that they are pretty similar to one another. Well, she said that plenty of times before, and I think, and I was thinking to myself, is because you guys both are into the nightlife? Is that why you feel like you and Frank are so similar? Like that's the question that I'm wondering. Is that the reason that she feels that they're so similar? Is because they both live in a nightlife world? I wonder. So then we move over to Walter and Sabrina. So we see Walter. So Walter has Sabrina meeting with his sister and with his aunt, right? So they ask Walter where's Sabrina from. He says Virginia. And then Sabrina comes in and they said, they talked to her, right? And she says she was born in, where did she say? Sewell? I forget the country. I forgot the country. And I said it in the first episode, but she wasn't born in Virginia. Suffice it to say it, right? So in this interaction with Walter and Sabrina, I was looking at Sabrina and I was looking at Walter. And I'm like, there's nothing there. I don't see any chemistry between them when you really sit down. Because I even figured, I felt that there wasn't chemistry between them. I felt that with Sabrina, I always, even when we had when they went on that little trip, right? I felt it. That the only reason that Walter went with Sabrina is because of his fallout with Mumin. If it wasn't for his fallout with Mumin, I think he still would have been with Mumin and not with Sabrina, right? Now you guys can let me know what you guys think about that, right? So then Sabrina asked his aunt and his sisters, how is Walter in a relationship? How is he? And they say he's, very attentive. He's affectionate and stuff like this. And he puts his all into his relationships. And then it makes Sabrina sit and think like, wow, when it comes to me and Walter's been pretty inconsistent, right? She said there was a point in time where he did text her and call her, but after that, nothing. Now, I do have a question, Sabrina, and I like Sabrina, but I do have the question of, did Sabrina reach out to him? Because, and I always say this when it comes to people, right? When it comes down to any kind of relationship, friendship, romantic relationship, family, anything like that, when it comes down to communication is not a one-way road. It's two ways, right? Communication goes both ways. And that's exactly how I am. If you don't talk to me, if I'm always the one that's texting you, calling you, and you never reciprocate that to me, then I will fall off. And that's friendships, family, and relationships. If I get that vibe, then I'm like, you know what? This relationship ain't working out for me right now. And if you get to the point where you want to rekindle this and you want to show me that I mean something to you, then we're good until then, right? So I just wondered that question. She says he was inconsistent, but did you show consistency as well, is my question. That's the only question I have, is did Sabrina show some consistency when it comes to Walter? But I do get what she's saying when she's talking about her daughter, right? The fact that she doesn't want to bring a man around her daughter and, they don't end up being together, and her daughter potentially could get attached to that guy. I understood that, right? I really, really understood what she said in that point. So we're going to pause there and we're going to move forward, you guys. All right, you guys. So next up, we got Dante and Aisha, right? So Dante and Aisha, we see him. He is introducing Aisha to his brother and to his cousins, right? So Aisha comes in, and I like Aisha with the black hair. She looks so good with black hair. Because I was looking at her hair for the reunion. I was like, oh God, Aisha, we took a step back, right? We were on the right track, but then we just took a step back to hell. So Aisha is telling them about her life, right? We all know Aisha's story, that Aisha and her ex-husband, they got divorced. Cause they asked her what brought her to DC, to Chocolate City, right? And she told them, and she said she got divorced. She's been single for about 3 to 4 years, right? We all know her story. She got divorced and she got help. She got the therapy for she and her kids, because she didn't want her kids to feel like in that situation that they played any part in it. And I'm like, that's so good, right? Now, the thing that threw me with Aisha was when she came up with I'm like, oh girl. That just, what she was talking about. There are some women who think this, right? Where the man goes out, makes the money, bring the bacon home, and the woman cooks and cleans, right? There are some women who still live by that philosophy, right? And I'm not knocking any woman that lives by that philosophy. But I will say, I just believe that is so outdated and antiquated, right? It's outdated. It's outdated. They asked her about a bill. She said, she could, if she could, I mean, she said she could pay a bill or two, right? They said 50-50. She says no. So then, but yeah, that's very outdated to me. Like, if you guys watch The Real Housewives of Orange County, look at the new housewife, Noella. Noella is a true housewife. Her husband is the one that made the money, right? And now that they're going through a divorce, this man has literally turned her credit cards off. So she has no access to money aside from any money that she may have been making previously to that, which I don't know what that was, but he cut her off, right? So that's why I say it's outdated. It's outdated. My grandmother did it, but when my grandfather, I've said this plenty of times before, but when my grandfather died, my grandmother had to step, get out there and get into the workforce to take care of her children because nobody else was going to do it, right? Because her husband was deceased and she had kids to fend for her. Like I said, it's just outdated. I mean, if that's what she wants to do, I'm not going to sit here and knock it, but I just think it's really outdated. And I would not want to, if I have kids and I have a girl, I'm going to teach her to be an independent person, right? I'm going to teach her that you don't need a man for anything, right? You don't need a man. It's nice to have one if you want one, but you don't need one. And when you get into a marriage, you don't let him control anything. You don't let him control everything. It's give and take in a relationship, right? But hey, I'm not knocking her. I'm so not knocking her. You guys know I like Aisha, right? So then we see Phil and Sydney. And this was an interesting scene to me, right? Phil and Sydney. So Phil has Sydney meeting with his aunt and his sister, right? His aunt and his cousin. Now, when they sat down, I didn't really hear them ask her very many questions. The only question that I heard them ask her about was her and Frank. And I'm like, why are y'all asking her about another dude? I was slightly confused by that. I was like, why are y'all asking her about another guy? Because they were asking her about her connection with Frank. If Phil had never came into the picture, she wouldn't be sitting here with Phil. She would be with Frank. But she says Frank is not Frank, but Phil is calm. Okay, I guess we're at the end of the notes, you guys. This season, like I've been saying, this is gonna be a short review probably, because this season is lackluster. This episode was boring. I fell asleep twice during this episode. Literally, I was asleep. I fell asleep during the Phil and Sydney scene. I was dead ass asleep. I had to wake up and rewind. I went to sleep during their scene. Who else scene did I go? Actually, I went to sleep during Phil and Sydney scene. I went to sleep during Sabrina and Walter scene, and I went to sleep during Frank and Mumin scene. Those were the three scenes that I fell asleep in. Actually, I fell asleep more than that, because I fell asleep at the end. I fell asleep when they were making their decisions, and I fell asleep on Phil and Sydney. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into these decisions, right? So Phil and Sydney, they met up, right? And we saw Frank and Mumin, they met up. And we saw Sabrina and Walter, they met. So we saw Phil and Sydney, Frank and Mumin, Sabrina and Walter, and Aisha and Dante. So when I saw Phil and Sydney, so I'm like, so did we, we missed something. We literally missed the whole thing, right? Because you guys remember, Frank was debating between Mumin and between Sydney, right? So Phil and Sydney were the first two to go. So Phil told Sydney, I choose you. And they gave us a dramatic pause and then come back later. But I'm going to wrap it up. Sydney chose him, right? He presented her with, I think, a bracelet with her birthstones in it. And there was a yacht that a boat that went by. And the people were cheering. She said, I think they think we just got engaged. I'm like, they probably think y'all are on The Bachelor because of the camera crew. They probably think y'all on The Bachelor. So yeah, Phil and Sydney they chose each other. Then the next couple up is going to be Frank and Mumin. I was like, wow. So Frank didn't end things with Sydney, huh? Okay. Because that's what when they paused with Phil and Sydney, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking that they were going to show us a scene of Frank and Sydney meeting up with each other and them deciding that they're not going to choose each other, right? But they didn't do that. We just got Frank and Mumin, and surprisingly, I was wrong in last week's episode. You guys remember I told you guys who I thought would end up together. I got two out of the three, two or three couples I was right about. I was right about Sydney and Phil. I said they would pick each other, right? Who I was wrong about was Frank and Mameen. I said Frank and Mameen weren't gonna pick each other, but Frank and Mameen picked each other, and I was like, oh, okay. I didn't see that one coming. Then the next couple we got was Sabrina and Walter, and Sabrina, she looked beautiful in that dress, right? Only thing about Sabrina is that wig from the pits of hell. That wig is ugly. Sabrina, my love, destroy that wig. Destroy it, and throw it in an incinerator, throw it in a lava pit, throw it somewhere so far that she never comes back ever again, right? Just get rid of her. That's all I ask. Get rid of her. But Sabrina decided that she did not want to continue things with Walter because of Walter's lack thereof of communication. And Walter seemed like he was surprised. I don't know why, but he was. He said that, you know, they hadn't talked after the date with his aunt and his cousin. Or was it his sister? Was that his sister? His sister and his aunt. I'm like, dude, if you hadn't heard from her since then, why would you think it was good? But he thought it was good. I'm like, I don't know how you think that was good, but hey. And then the last couple is Aisha and Dante, and they picked each other, you guys. So that is it for Rated to Love. Y'all know we are going back to DC for the next season, right? We're going back to DC for one more season, and then after that, we'll be heading down to Miami, Florida for the next season. So we got one more season of DC. Hopefully the next season of DC, they cast better, because this season with casting, it just wasn't that good. Now you guys know I like some of the cast. Others I just didn't care for. And then the reunion, it's gonna be interesting. We'll talk about the reunion next week when we get to it, you guys. I was thinking about reviewing that show, Ladies Who List, you guys, but I don't think I have the energy to review that show. So I think I'm just gonna watch it and just enjoy it for my enjoyment. If I want to talk about it, we might have little videos about it, but other than that, I'm not reviewing it, you guys. So I don't know who is reviewing it, so I can't really tell you. I think I know one person that's reviewing it. Bondi. I know because I saw her. She posted what she's doing this weekend. So Ladies Who List, she's doing it. So go check out Bondi, you guys. And that's it, you guys. Let me know what you guys thought about the episode, the season, the couples who chose each other that I don't believe are still together to this day. But that's neither here nor there. But let me know what you guys think about all that stuff, and leave your comments in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on, share the video, and until the next time, you guys, stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves, you guys. Remember to wash your hands, wear a mask, socially distance, you guys. Be blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.